Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a first impression review of this new Revolution Pro powder foundation. Now if you are new to my channel then please click the subscribe button before I get into this video, that would really help me out. So yeah, this powder foundation came out I think about a month ago now. I got it when it first came out, but I'm just getting around to doing the first impression review now. So this comes in, how many shades? This comes in 18 shades. And the shade numbers correlate to sort of all the Revolution foundations. So I've got the shade F1, which is the lightest shade. So looking on the website, this F1 shade is meant to be for fair skin tones with a neutral undertone, which is basically what I have. So that's why I picked up this shade. Now there's not many claims of this foundation. It's just kind of saying it's a velvety matte finish. And it's sort of stressing the point that it's like purse friendly and like easy to apply on the go because it's a compact foundation with like a sponge in it. And it says applies your foundation for a medium coverage, used to mattify for a midday pick me up, or dampen the sponge to build coverage for an evening out. Cruelty free and vegan, which is good. So yeah, you can kind of use this for touch ups or as your actual foundation, and it's meant to have buildable coverage. So I'm going to test this today. I think I'm not going to wet the sponge because I don't really like wetting powders because then they go like crusty and get a film on them and they don't last as long. So I'm just going to see how the coverage builds. One, using the sponge maybe on this side and this side using the brush. Oh, and just sorry if you hear any background noises like building noises. My neighbours are having building work, so you might hear some drilling or banging in the background, but hopefully you won't hear it. Yeah, so this is the shade F1 in the Revolution Pro foundation. In the pan it looks quite fair. This is it swatched on my finger. I'll just do a swatch of that. So this is the shade F1 swatched on the back of my hand. It is quite, it blends in quite well with my actual skin tone. Although I'd say looking at it, it's more neutral cool, as in it's a little bit pink. Rather than being a solid neutral colour, which is a bit of a shame because it did say it was going to be neutral. But yeah, just swatching that powder on my hand, it felt very creamy when I put my finger in it. And there is a little bit of, oh you can't really see that, but it kicks up a bit of powder when I swatched it. And it seems like it's quite a full coverage powder when you swatch it with my finger. So yeah, it comes with this underneath, you undo, oh no, you just like lift it up. There's a mirror in the compact as well. And it comes with this sponge. It's just one of those really cheap sponges. It doesn't feel that good quality, but there we go. So yeah, on this right hand side I'm going to apply it with this and see how it goes. So yeah, I'm just going to go in. I'm looking down here because my mirror is down here. So yeah, when I apply it, you just kind of swipe it on. Oh, and by the way, I've moisturised my skin with the Kiehl's Ultra Facial Moisturiser with SPF 30. Yeah, so unlike a beauty blender, when I'm using liquid foundation, I kind of pat that in. But with powders, you're best to swipe, really. Gosh, this is bringing back memories of when I used to use powder foundation when I was like a younger teenager. Yeah, so that's how it looks. You can see it is very fair. It doesn't look that fair in the pan, but like on my face it is making me look quite ghostly. I feel like I could have gone up a shade and been fine with it. And like compared to my neck, it's looking a bit more, like I said, a bit more cool because I do have a more neutral undertone. So I've just got this Zoeva Luxe Face Finish. It's just like a fluffy powder brush. So I'm just gonna dip in and kind of like swirl it in on the left hand side. The first thing that's striking me about this powder is it does have coverage, which I'm very impressed with, because a lot of like powders or powder foundations claim to have coverage and they don't. So yeah, I think a brush is slightly quicker application, but even the sponge is very quick application. So I'll just zoom you in now and show you what it looks like. So this is how the powder's looking on my face. This is it with the sponge and this is it with the brush. Now I'd say looking at it, it's applied more fuller coverage on the side with the sponge than the brush, which makes sense because with the sponge you're really packing it on there, whereas the brush you're kind of buffing it out more sheer. It's not 100% full coverage because you can still kind of see freckles, but this is definitely medium buildable, and I'd say this is kind of, with a brush, maybe like light to medium, but I think if I build it up with another layer of powder, which I'll do now, you definitely can build it up. I like the way it's applied on both sides, so I think you definitely can use a brush or the compact that it came with. It just depends how quick you want to get it done, because with a brush you can literally go and you're done. Bearing in mind I have moisturised my skin, but it hasn't like clung to any dry patches that I have. It's gone on quite even. I just think the shade is a little bit pale for me. Oh, and I forgot to say, before I put this foundation on, I did apply a bit of concealer under my eyes and sort of on this spot, a few spots I have, just because with powder you're best to apply cream products first, or otherwise it can get really cakey and go weird. So yeah, if you've got any breakouts or blemishes or discoloration, apply concealer first before you do your powder foundation. I've got this spot which I popped, so I'm just gonna get the sponge and go over it a little bit more to add some more coverage, because this is like a touch-up powder, which I do think it'll be great for throughout the day if you're wearing a liquid foundation as well and you just wanted to, if you've lost the coverage or it's gone a bit greasy throughout the day, this would be good, because it is, I forgot to say, it's very mattifying. Like, I had a moisturiser on underneath, but my skin isn't glowing now. It's definitely matte because of this powder. Overall, I think if I was to use this again, I'd probably use a bit of a lighter hand and not build it up as much as I have done, just because that's my personal preference. I like kind of light to medium coverage now rather than full coverage, and I feel like I have sort of built this up to like medium full, kind of in between. You definitely can make this full coverage, but because I have dry to normal skin, if I had another layer it'll just look really powdery, because like now it doesn't look disgustingly powdery, but it doesn't look, like I said, it's matte and it doesn't look dewy. Like this doesn't look natural. You can tell that you've got powder on your face, so yeah, just bear that in mind. So I'm going to apply the rest of my makeup and come back and tell you how everything applied on top. Hey, so I'm back and I finished the rest of my makeup. Generally speaking, everything went on top nicely. I only used powders on top, like bronzer, contour, blush, because yeah, I don't recommend putting creams on top of like powder foundation. Also, I want to give a quick shout out to the Revolution Hyaluronic Fix setting spray. This is what I use to set my face, and this really helps with like settling down the powders and making things look less powdery. A spray like this, not necessarily this one, but it's definitely a must when you use a powder foundation, because it just stops it looking so makeup-y. So I feel like looking in my mirror now, it looks a bit better than it did when I just had the powder on. So this is what the powder foundation looks like with the rest of my makeup on. The only slight complaint I have is I'm not really liking how my pores are looking. You can't see it that clearly on camera, but I don't really have large pores, but you can see them. They're a bit more prominent than they would be. But I think that's because I didn't use a primer. I feel like next time I'll use a pore filling primer just in this section. I usually do use a primer with liquid foundation, but I just thought putting powder foundation on top of like a primer might be a bit iffy, so I didn't do that. I'm going to try this foundation again because this video won't be up for probably a few weeks time. So I'll try it again with the primer, and I'll leave in the description box down below whether it applied better with a primer. But other than that, I'm generally liking this, and I'm very impressed with how pale the shade is. Like once I've got my makeup on, obviously I've put a lot of bronzer on, but like I could have, like I said before in the video, I could have got away with a darker shade than the F1 shade. So I'm glad that it has gone really light with the foundation shades, because a lot of powder foundations, their lightest shade is just way too orange for me, and I'm sure there's even fairer people than I am. So yeah, on the whole the shade range is quite good, although I'd say definitely swatch in store, because this shade was a bit more cool neutral rather than neutral, which it claimed to be neutral, so just bear that in mind. But overall, I forgot to say it's only £5 in the UK, which is not a lot for a powder foundation. And how much do you get in here? You get 8 grams, so that's quite a lot of product, like the standard powder foundation, powder compact. So yeah, you can't really go wrong for £5. I definitely recommend it. It hasn't, like I said, hasn't clung to dry patches, hasn't emphasised lines. I really recommend this for people who just want something to chuck in their makeup bag for touch-ups, and also if you're like commuting to work or uni or whatever, this would be a good one because you can literally put it on in like 2 minutes, 3 minutes in the morning and be done. I wouldn't recommend this if you're at school, if you're not allowed to wear makeup, because it looks like makeup, it looks like you're wearing makeup, so yeah. But overall, I was quite impressed with this powder foundation, and I'm definitely going to try it out a bit more and leave my final thoughts below. I'm not going to do a wear test on camera because it is a powder foundation. They don't tend to like crack apart like liquid foundations do, but I will leave some comments down below on how this wore and if I've got any final thoughts. So yeah, check the description box down below when this video goes up. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and if you did like it then please thumbs it up, and once again don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'll hopefully see you in my next video.